Hello Tilted Gamers, welcome to another commentary video. In this video, we are going to talk about Spires of Ascension. As always, I will go over cooldown rotations, important pulls, and the route we have chosen to go during Tyrannical weeks. For more in-depth guides and commentary videos, please subscribe and like the videos. It helps me out a lot. Without further delay, let's get started. As we look into the party composition, we have a Shaman Healer, Rogue, Hunter, Druid, DPS composition. On paper, this is a dream comp. But in game, well, we'll just see how it turned out, shall we? This week, we have Tyrannical, Necrotic, and Bolstering affixes. You can see my talent and soulbind distribution on the screen now. Alright, let's get started. Right off the bat, there are a couple important pulls here. In this first pack, we have to pay attention to the Mender mob and interrupt his healing spell. Here, because I pulled very small, I don't really have to worry about necrotic stacks. And here's the Force 1 Doctrine, first healing spell. We interrupted it very well. And the rest of the pool is not very special. I'm adding Goliath here to the pool. The reason I didn't go big is because of bolstering, for obvious reasons. We have Treants down here from the Druid, which is a very nice touch. And like I mentioned earlier, this composition is really well for necrotic weeks. So I have Binding Shot from the Hunter, Treants from the Druid, and we have a nice safe skip from the Rogue with the Shroud, which we will utilize later in the pool or later in the dungeon. Here we have to pay attention to Castigators because of Burning of Knowing cast. That has to be interrupted because it hurts a lot. And here we got one, and I got the other one with the Ring of Peace. Other than that, it's not really that special of a pull. There are weeks that you can pull all three mobs, all three groups together, but definitely not during the necrotic bolstering week. And here we have a couple of the same mobs here. We have Castigator and Mender, so we have to pay attention to the healing and Burden of Knowing. From the tanking perspective, it's not really that much of an insane or intense pull. I just have to keep an eye on my necrotic stacks, and for some reason if it goes out of hand, I can start kiting down the stairs. But like before that mob died, I had 13 stacks, and it's totally manageable at 13 stacks. And here in this next pull, I'm going to explain something which I believe it was kind of my mistake, but it worked in the past. I think I didn't move them correctly, so we'll see. We'll try to analyze it together. So I paralysis the Mender, which I always do, and then I pulled the rest of the four to the corner, but I think I didn't pull them far enough, and they end up bolstering the Mender there, but we'll see what happened. Usually I pull them either down the stairs, but in pugs it's really hard to coordinate interrupts and move, so I stopped doing that, and I started pulling them to the side, but I think I didn't pull them far enough. We'll see. Because the Pride is gonna spawn in the right after Goliath dies, I believe, you want to keep the Mender CC'd, kill the Pride, kill the Mender, and then go into the boss. And as you guys can see, I'm always saving my Touch of Death for Pride. I re-paralysis the Mender. We're killing the Pride now. Weapons of Order is out. Here shortly, I'm trying to collect the orbs from the Weapons of Order so we can increase the duration of the spell. Nothing really special, dodging the Pride mechanic there. Once the Pride is about to die, I'm bringing it to the Mender. so we can cleave and start DPSing the Mender there. And once it dies, I will run into the boss right away. We have about 40 seconds of Pride boss, which is pretty good. And again, some groups pull that last mob into the into the boss, so you can have more uptime of the Pride buff. But in pugs, I don't really like to do that. I have good Celestial Brew stacks there. I popped it, saving my other cooldowns for better moments. Always stay behind the bird so you don't get hit by the frontal. And if you guys watch the video, the VOD of this run, I titled this Carrying a Toxic Healer. And as of this moment, he's not toxic, obviously. But we'll find out where he gets toxic in the later minutes of the run. And there's a lot to talk about there as well, so stay tuned. We'll get to the, I guess, fun parts in a little bit. As for this boss fight, it's nothing special. I popped my cheat death there, unfortunately. We're just trying to keep them together, the Kintara and the bird, and cleave them because they share health. Here, we are pulling both lion packs, stealth claws. Of course, not together because of bolstering. And that was another point that the healer was making in the end of the run, that I wasn't pulling right. But doing bolstering and necrotic, these pulls are actually very, very dangerous. Like almost as dangerous as pulling big in fortified weeks, basically. Maybe even more. So in a pug, you want to control the pulls and pull whatever you're comfortable with. Like, don't mind whatever other people say. I have 20 plus stacks here. And here the you probably won't be able to see the chat, but here the healer is asking is why are we pulling pack to pack, and I'm trying to explain it's bolstering and necrotic. Like it's a very simple explanation to that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you're pulling pack to pack, you just DPS it down. Like, it doesn't really matter. If I was in an organized group, I would be pulling a different way, but we're not in an organized group, far from it. And here the Druid is also toxic, telling me what I can use to kite them, but it doesn't matter. Once the lions get you, you get one-shotted, so it doesn't really matter. Here I'm pulling the birds down the stairs so I can group them, because the skirmishers jump around a lot and they're very annoying. Weapons of Order is out, Nizao is out, and Celestial Brew is out because I'm taking a lot of damage and I have a lot of necrotic stacks. We're moving on to the skirmisher packs. These are very annoying. My party here failed to LOS, and if you don't LOS right away, this is gonna happen and they're gonna scatter all over. And it's a pain in the ass for the tank to group them if you don't group them at first. And as you can see here, we're actually losing valuable DPS time here because they're not grouped up. Not because I'm pulling pack to pack, but obviously they're not going to realize that. But we're doing the best we can. I'm trying to use whatever ability I have to kind of group them together. He's gonna use Binding Shot here, but Binding Shot on these skirmishers are kind of useless because they hardly move, and if they move, they're gonna jump. But anyway, we get our second pride here. I pop my Celestial Brew to give me some defensive because of the passive damage from pride. I have this really useful weak aura that you've seen on the screen right now. It counts down before the streaks go out, and it lets you know which player the pride damage is on. So please get that. It's on Vago.io. It's a really small weak aura, and it's very useful. Honestly, I consider it a trolling if you're constantly pushing 15 plus keys and you don't have that aura, weak aura. Just get it. It's bad to not have it. And here again, this group is hard to control because of the skirmishers gonna jump around. But we do have an earth elemental kind of controls it while I was dealing with the squad leader. The squad leader always needs to die first because of its aura that's going to reduce damage taken from others. So if the other mobs are close to squad leader, then they're going to take less damage. We're pulling the birds here. Again, it's not a special pull. Pop my weapons of order. I have 20 plus stacks of necrotic. That's why I stunned them, and I think Ring of Peace should come down soon. Oh, but instead I did the okay, I used the Kyrian potion to drop my stacks there, and then now it's Ring of Peace. Okay, cool. We're going into another squad leader pack. And this pack is actually very hard to keep together as well. Do have a full stack of Celestial Brew. I used it now. Ni Zhao is out to give me the most damage possible. Again, the skirmisher is being a problem there. Dampen Harm cooldown is up. I have almost 30 stacks, so I need to drop those. But it's very hard to control these mobs and they're almost dead. That's why I'm not really concerned about my stacks. And I have a Celestial Brew coming up. Pushing almost 40 stacks there. And this is the only mob left, so I'm not really worried about necrotic stacks anymore. After these lions, there's gonna be another pride. We have treants down, which is super helpful for me. So I can kite and drop the bleeding stacks. Weapons of Order is down. Looking back at this, maybe I could have used Weapons of Order for pride instead, but it's never a bad idea to use it on cooldown. I have 9 necrotic stacks and 2 bleeding stacks. Can be a very simple pride. And here the shaman gets hit by the pride. And here I get hit by the pride. and Shaman gets hit again. Druid died. This is our first death, so it's not really that big of a deal. It was a mistake though, it shouldn't have happened, but I did get hit by Pride as well, so here we are going into this next pool with Pride buff. About 30 seconds left. It is a big pool here, so actually Pride is pretty useful. Treants are down. Druid is actually doing a pretty good job using the Treants, and everybody's actually pretty good using Treants, Earth Elemental, and everything to help me kind of stack, and Kite. Here I'm pulling them back. I learned that if I taunt the bird, the Goliath doesn't pull. So I kind of like that and do that all of my runs. And then I do Goliath because you don't really want to, because it's bolstering, you don't really want to pull the Goliath with the birds. I don't really care what other people would think or say, like this is a small pool, but this is a very specific pool for this week. And I'm trying to pull them back so no one aggroes the group. Because it's a squad leader, it would be really bad. The Druid is kind of staying close, and that got me scared there. But you always have to be aware of what's going on. And then we're going into the squad leader pack without any worries of Goliaths or bowstring stacks or anything like that. Earth Elemental is down. The Treants are down now. So I'm very safe. I'm trying to single target the squad leader most of the time and get the interrupts. Okay, if we go in this dungeon, if we go to the left route, this pack right here, the one we're about to be pulling, is arguably the hardest, and that is why I save my spear for them. So we have a rogue, we blinded one and I paralysis the other. I unfortunately got stunned by the lion there, but we're pulling them down the stairs. I'm gonna use my spear in a little bit. There it goes. And this group this run we did pretty well, but in a little bit I'm going to explain how I was able to manage the stuns, the cooldowns and everything, because once the pride spawns in the middle of the pool, for most groups it's gonna be chaotic, but we handled it pretty well here. So the squad leader dies, pride comes up, but the CCs are about to be broken up the stairs, so we have to adapt. And because we didn't drop combat before the pride, I had my necrotic stacks for the first couple seconds of the pride fight. So that was kind of hard. So the champion is broken. I charge, interrupt the heal, and paralysis the praetor. So that's a lot for one person to do, especially when I have pride on myself. So try to the DPS, at least one of them should have helped me do some of the things. We definitely should have interrupted the champion earlier because it healed the pride a lot, and we lost a lot of time there. But champion died, the praetor is gonna die. They're gonna tell me to pull the praetor into the boss, but again, in a pug group, I'm always gonna say this, I'm not gonna do risky pools or stuff like that, we can lose 20 seconds of the pride. I really don't care. I care about surviving and killing bosses. And if I do something silly like that in a pug group, they might die or the praetor might jump there somewhere and people won't be able to kill or kite or whatever, and it might end up bad. So I'm looking at the orb here, and I'm actually doing a pretty good job tracking the direction of where it's gonna come from, and I'm dodging. So I put 2 in between those pillars, and then I go to the opposite side, and then I'm gonna try to do the same here, but after 1 orb, I think he's gonna go into the recharge phase. Okay, it's not even 1. So in recharge phase, I think we're okay here. I get hit once during the entire fight, I believe, but you know, everybody can get hit once. So here's the first orb in the new pillars. Binding Flash is going up. Hunters unfortunately got hit there, but I mean, it's on him. I could have turned the boss around and make the Binding Flash go in any other direction, but it's very easy to dodge, so they can dodge it. It's a long cast. We're going into our second recharge phase. Unfortunately, the Druid and the Shaman died, but it's 1%. I think I can handle this myself. I got hit second time there and the boss dies. If you guys can catch that angel flying, you can actually attach to it in the middle and it'll take you up. So here another interesting thing is gonna happen. We're going to skip all the way to the top of the stairs, and what I meant for the rogue to do is shroud on top of the stairs and take us as far as it can, but instead he saps the guy to the right, I think it's the mender, and skips, but I don't know how to skip without pulling, so you guys will see. Of course, before all that, I'm gonna take this spear and I'm gonna save it for the third angel before the last boss. So here I asked the rogue if those shroud will last, but I think he thought it would be from here to the boss. Of course, it's not gonna be that long, but so what I meant for him to do is shroud here and go as far as possible with the shroud, but he saps the warden and I don't know how to skip here. Maybe I could have jumped over the wall, but I get aggro. So once this happens, because 2 of my party members, the stealth guys, went past, so I'm telling them to let me die here, and we can do some sort of bad death skip kind of thing. So overall, I think it was my bad. I don't know if I can actually jump over here, like over the wall. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It works best if you have a warlock and he puts the gate there. But overall, Shaman runs, unks up, reses me, and then we're gonna run up a little, mount up, we shroud, and we're gonna be good to go. We're about to shroud here. There we go. And here on this boss, if you want to learn more about this boss, I have a Spires of Ascension guide, and you guys can see it on the top corner, right corner there. Please watch that. Basically, the Purifying Blast is a DPS mechanic. They have to isolate themselves from the party until that cast goes. This Imperial Ordinance, everybody will get an orb on top of their head, and they have to stack. And as you guys can see, we stacked 4, but 1 orb is not stacked. So I didn't realize that until a couple of seconds later, and I had to move the boss. But in an ideal situation, you would want them, you would want yourself as a tank and your DPS to stack the orbs. Here, we're doing a really bad job stacking them, so they're all over the place. This is gonna come into play when the boss goes into recharge phase and calls the orb to himself, the orbs to himself, and it's gonna be really hard to soak them if they're coming all over the place from all directions. But my cooldown management here, I used my fortifying brew. Now I'm popping my celestial brew. I'm saving my weapons of order for the recharge phase because that's a DPS phase, and I'm gonna use Nizao right after the DPS phase is over. Before the recharge phase, I asked my Druid to soak the orbs with the turtle, and he's gonna do that for me because with the immunities they don't have to take the damage. The rogue can also do that, but and we managed it pretty well here. And like I said, this run was completely smooth up until the end, and a shaman decides to be toxic because we're gonna wipe at the last boss in a little bit and still time the key though. And I'll explain some of the chat that was going on during that moment once we get there. But as for this boss fight, he's almost about to die, 4%. We don't really have to worry about another recharge phase because we're gonna kill it before. Right after the boss, we have one more pack to pull because we want to be, I think, either 86 or above 86 as much as possible. But this is definitely fine because this is gonna give us 2%. And here, because the Druid pulled before me, it's kind of hard to gather them. And as you guys can see, that spear usurper is getting bolstered. It has 5 bolster stacks. And that's what happens when you don't let your tank pull and gather the mobs correctly. We're at 87%. We're pretty good on, we're perfect on the percentage there. That's where we want to be. I think you want to be above 86, definitely. I kind of changed the order of the angels here. I started pulling the middle one first, and then the left, and then lastly the right angel. So we'll see. We're gonna pull Lakesys, I believe her name is. Yeah, Lakesys first. And here, that cast, I should have turned her away. But again, it's another easy cast to dodge. Your DPS should be able to dodge it no matter what. The Druid gets hit. And surprisingly, he's one of the other player that got toxic at the end as well. So you guys can understand what type of players are gonna get toxic during the runs. The ones that probably are making the mistakes the most. And mistakes are okay, you can make them. I make them all the time. Just at least acknowledge it, that you're able to do mistakes, and that's okay, you know. But Weapons of Order is out. I'm pumping a lot of DPS here. My Nizao is out. Unfortunately, well, it's not an unfortunate thing. The Treants are down, but when the Nizao is down, you want your stagger as high as possible so you can purify it, and so that your Nizao does more damage. But with the Treants, because the boss doesn't hit you, you can't get stagger. So the Nizao damage was really low there. But it's okay. Like at the end of the day, the Druids are supposed to use the Treants on cooldown. So that was okay. Here for Klotos, I have a spear I'm putting down right away. The hunter calls for lust for some reason, but even on fortified weeks, I don't believe you want to lust here. I think it's a really bad thing to lust on the third angel. Depends on how well or bad your group is handling the third angel, but as you guys can see here, we're doing pretty good on handling it. I really don't have much to say about this angel. Like, you gotta kite, you gotta manage the spears. It's gonna be Pride a couple seconds after Klotos dies here. That is why I'm saving my Touch of Death, because I'm gonna use it on Pride. Our hunter dies here, but we have a battle res. That's another crucial thing. You want your group to survive here because of the Pride. You won't have time to run back because the Pride is gonna spawn. Here I have Weapons of Order. I just popped it. Trying to get more stacks on Celestial Brew, so I'm gonna pop it soon. Dodging the Pride ability, very simple stuff. Used Touch of Death there, but it had 15 stacks, so it didn't kill it right away. Right now we're onto the boss. For the first couple seconds, you can keep the boss where she is right now, but you ideally want to kite it back towards the shield right after this run through, as I'm doing right now, so that your party is definitely going to be in that shield. Especially important when you have a paladin healer and he has to be in melee range to heal. If you kite or if you tank the boss where she spawns, it might be too far for the paladin healer to get there because, you know, mobility issues. I popped my Nizao there. It was bad of me to do because the boss is gonna go away and my Nizao is kind of wasted now, but it happens. So right now we're going to get the orbs, but no one goes to this orb, so we're wasting a lot of time, and people are getting stacks. As you guys can see there, I have 8 stacks. That's a lot, and that's because it's overtime, and we wasted a lot of time trying to get to the orbs. And our party has high stacks there. I think that Link comes down a little late. It could have been utilized better, but overall I don't think it's the healer's fault until he gets toxic there. Here we decide to wipe to kind of fight the boss again faster, but once I'm trying to die here, and I have a cheat death. Unfortunately, that's gonna proc. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so here, the healer, of course, you guys won't be able to see the chat, but let me explain what's going on. He says he can't be healing the 10 stacks of the debuff. He tells us that either do it faster or watch your feet, which is okay to say. You know, if you stand in those dark circles, you're gonna get stacks. And here I'm trying to explain the DPS that they can use their immunities because the hunter has turtle, the rogue has his immunity, and we can use that to our advantages, right? Like we can use immunities, pots, defensives, and then the shaman laughs at me like I'm saying something opposite of what he said. I'm actually trying to support his argument that we have to watch our feet, but he doesn't get that for some reason, and then he turns toxic there. And at the end of the key, he tells me to pull better and, you know, pull faster if I want more DPS, which I had no problems with the DPS. Obviously, we were able to time the key, so DPS wasn't the issue. We were able to kill the second boss, which is the biggest DPS problem in this dungeon, and we were able to get past that easier as well. So I am behind what I said. I wasn't toxic. I was telling people to use their immunities in pots, so that they can survive that phase. But, you know, some people. So that behind us, we're back to the boss fight. We have 3 minutes right now and 76% on the boss. We are going into the second phase, I should say. And for that phase, I have Weapons of Order, Nizao, and available to me in my Celestial Brew. We're doing slightly better on the spears right now. Everybody's going to different directions to get different orbs. And that's what it should have been in the first try, right? We kind of went to the same direction right before we wiped. That's why we wasted a lot of time getting orbs. But I popped my knees out here a little bit better than the last time. I'm getting my Weapons of Order orbs there. Right before detonation, I'm going into the shield. Because I have Weapons of Order, I am paying attention to my keg smashes. I want to upkeep my 4 stacks of Weapons of Order damage increase on the boss as much as possible. Another detonation, we're going into the shield. And in 10 seconds, we're gonna have another detonation. People are unfortunately putting those black orbs or those circles on top of the shield. But for the most part, it's fine. It's large enough area that we can avoid those. Again, the same thing. This is the last orb, that's why we're all going there. Waiting for Druid to put it in the spear. There we go, last hit. I'm waiting for the boss to move and then hit the spear. Right now, 45 seconds and 15% on boss. That was very stressful. It was definitely a close call. I used my dampen harm there. I'm trying to maximize my defensive so I don't really die at the last minute and, you know, screw up the key. I'm getting into the shield. Weapons of Order is out for the last minute pump, DPS pump there. Run through. And the boss dies with 10 seconds to spare. Alright. And this was the key, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary here. We went over the cooldown rotations, the route, and the drama that happened during the run and with the wipes and all that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more commentary videos. I really enjoyed this format, and I'm definitely going to give you guys more commentary videos. Like I said, please don't forget to subscribe and like the videos, and thank you guys for watching.